Welcome to the Wayne Bennett Podcast, celebrating West Virginia's people, places, and the culture of Southern Appalachia. Now here's your host, Wayne Bennett.
Welcome to Wayne Bennett's Podcast. I'm your host, Wayne Bennett, and this is episode 183. It's April the 1st, April Fool's Day, and we're at 209 Prince Street, West Virginia. We're at the Burm Street bookstore, and our guest today is Cheryl Burm. Cheryl, thank you for talking to us.
Well, thank you for having me.
And I got a couple questions. First of all, the name Burm, is that, what nationality is that?
Well, it's a little bit of a mix. Burm comes from Germany, so it's a German name, basically. My grandfather and father, well, great-grandfather, rather, were from Germany. Way back in the 1780s, they migrated over. And then, so.
Now, you were born in Illinois?
I was in the middle of a cornfield, basically. My high school was actually in the middle of a cornfield. It was a consolidated school of very small, about 8 towns, and it was literally in the middle of a cornfield.
As you were growing up, what were some of the things you were interested in?
I loved going to school. I always did. I enjoyed school, grade school, middle school, high school. I guess it was junior high back then, but yeah, I enjoyed school. I participated in a lot of sports, track, volleyball for a while. Swimming I tried out for, but decided that was too cold in the winter. Even though the pool was indoors. But yeah.
And your parents, what did your dad or mom do for a living? Or
my parents divorced when I was very young. My father, when I was very young, was a deputy sheriff in the county that we lived in. And then after they divorced, he moved back to his home state of New York. And my mother worked for the state of Illinois.
Oh, I see. Now, after high school, did you read a lot in high school?
I did. I was in the creative writing club and a couple of other clubs in high school. And yeah, I read a lot and I wrote too back then.
Really?
Poetry. I have a poem published. I also have my own children's book published. I did that, I want to say, in like 2011-ish, I think. It's a very short story. Shortly after I had my boys.
Did you have a favorite author?
I can't pick one. There are just too many.
Anybody that you read all their books?
Probably Stephen King, or Johanna Lindsay when I was younger. She does historical romance, and everyone knows who Stephen King is.
Yeah.
So.
Now you had, after high school, you went to law school, didn't you?
I did. I actually, after high school, I moved from Illinois to New York to be closer to my dad and to go to college. I graduated at the University of Buffalo in, oh my gosh, 96? I think 96. Seems like so long ago. And then I took a few years off and then moved down to Florida to go to law school at St. Thomas University. Attended there for 3 years, and then, because I'm a glutton for punishment and I love to learn, I went on to the University of Miami and for the year of my master's in tax law.
How long did you practice law?
24 years, I think. I'm still eligible to practice. I've just registered with the Florida Bar as inactive at this point. So I could pick it up back anytime. I'd probably need a little refresher course, maybe, but.
Now, so you were not in no criminal law or anything like that?
No, I did corporate commercial for the most part, and during the foreclosure crisis, I represented the banks.
Now, the big question, why would you move from Florida to West Virginia?
If I had a nickel for every time everybody asked me that, my partner and I get that question all the time. And we would go on a round trip vacation in the summer for about 30 days, take our twin boys and go visit family in Illinois and Michigan and New York, and then come back down to Florida. And every time we would pass through here, and we would think it was so beautiful in the summer. So when I made the decision that I didn't want to practice law anymore, we kind of said, Beckley's beautiful in the summer. So here we are.
That's I know people that I've spoken with in the past have come to West Virginia to. Some people came to farm. Some people, get back to nature. I've never heard anyone but you to come and open a bookstore. And now you live in the Woodlawn area.
Correct.
And one time, I'm spent 76 years in the county and the city. And at one time, Woodlawn was the premier avenue. There was no woodcrest. There was not much of flat top. There was no glade. There was no, and most of the rich people lived on Woodlawn Avenue at that particular, back in the 50s and 60s, and governors and a lot of House delegate members, people like that, and some of the houses on Woodlawn, the classic, the construction of the houses, and I mean some of them Victorian, and but how did you select? How did you end up on Woodlawn?
Well, we looked all over Beckley. We came up a few different times, probably 5 or 6 different times, and saw probably over 100 houses. And we kept coming back to find the right exact one. And in fact, the house that we're currently in, we saw pictures of it and put in an offer without even doing a tour. And we just think that Woodlawn is the most beautiful and unique boulevard, so to speak, here in Beckley. All of the houses are so unique and different, and all of them together with the street itself, with the little trees down the center, and it's just absolutely beautiful, we think.
So you know no one, no family, nothing, just Beckley.
Just Beckley.
Wow.
Just Beckley. Yeah.
That's great. Now, the building that your business is in now, when I remember the old Keatley Sporting Goods business, I pretty sure used to be in this section. Mr. Keatley had run it for years. The only sporting goods business around. There was no Crossroads Mall. There was no Plaza or anything like that. And then Spartan Sporting Goods kind of came to town, and Mr. Keatley was near retirement, and I think he shut it down. Then next door, the Ashworths had a tire business, and Mr. McCormick bought the tire business from them, and then he went into Yamaha motorcycles, actually. And the building wasn't big enough for them to expand, and so they moved out of town at that time. And who owned this building? You said this building was over 100 years old.
It is. It is. There's a date stamp at the top of this building on the outside. So it is just about 102 years old, I think. And when we purchased it, the Tabors owned it. It was in a family trust from the Tabors, and it was this building and the smaller building right next to this one. So our address is 209, 211, 213, and 217. So, and at the same time, when we were looking for the buildings, we first looked at the Tickety Boo building over on Neville. We looked at the old Beckley newspaper down a little further here on Prince. We looked at another one, I think, too. But when we saw this one, it needed lots of love to revive it. It had a leak in the roof. It would leak from the roof down to the second floor, from the second floor all the way down to the first floor, and from the first floor all the way down to the basement. So there were buckets in many, many different places. So yeah, it needed some love. It did.
And you stripped the floors completely.
Yes,
That was a
yes.
heck of a job.
It was, we've done so much work to this building to give it some more love and life. Because first of all, I should back up too and say we did have a structural engineer from here in town. I can't remember what his name was. I'm sure my partner knows. He's much better with names than I am, but from Alliance Consulting is all I can remember. But they came in and gave us the A-OK. It is structurally sound. All of its I-beams, which are huge, still are holding up the bricks and the mortar and the building, the weight of the building. So when we started to do the demolition and reconstruction, so to speak, we had a concern that the weight of the multiple layers of flooring, for example, or whatever may have been added over the years. So that was one of the biggest reasons that we had the structural engineer come in and say, everything's good. So then when we began the demolition, there were 2 layers of carpet, 2 layers of tile throughout the first floor. On the second floor, there's one layer of carpet in some places, 2 in others, and a layer of tile to get down to the original hardwood. Now, the hardwood floors on the second floor are absolutely beautiful. They're a little dirty, but if you wipe them down and clean them up, they are absolutely in beautiful condition. So the hardwood floors that you see now, the black mastic, I think is what it's called, that they use to adhere the tile to the hardwood, you can't get that up anyway. However, we've tried multiple ways to do it. There's chemicals that soften it. I tried a heat gun on my hands and knees. I mean, sanders, grinders, it takes forever. It just gums everything up. So we decided to go ahead and leave the floor the way it is, although the original hardwood is exposed.
Now your official opening was March of 2025.
Correct, March 7th of 2025. Yeah.
Where did you get your books?
Various different places, auctions, estate sales, yard sales. Since we've opened, we've received quite a few donations. In fact, I think there's a box that's sitting at my front door that I need to get out. I'm hoping that's what's in the box.
Yeah. Now the last count that I read, you had over 22,000 books. And what else? What else have you got here? This is not just a bookstore. Yeah.
No, we have right now we do have like 22,600 and something. I can't even remember because I add books every day, whether I'm here or not. Oh, I should say whether I'm open or not. I add books every day. We do have vinyl records, and when I say vinyl records, I also mean the shellacks and the Edisons, which are the thicker ones that play on the old Victrola, and we have what we call little treasures everywhere. It's just whatever my partner and I think that someone would enjoy as much as we do when we see it. So there's little treasures, antiques, Avon bottles, soda, old Coke bottles, or whatever. There's just little treasures everywhere.
You've got some art.
Yes, we do have some wall art. We have some art from one of the local artists. He's also an author, Gary Vaughn. So we have some of his art. In fact, we're sitting next to one of his prints, Mothman, in front of the Tudor's Biscuit World.
I'm very familiar with Gary. He does a remark. He's kind of like a pop artist, but he does a great job, and he can turn them out, buddy. I tell you. Now you have your partner is John Kavanaugh.
That's correct.
And is John? Does he stay as busy as you in the bookstore?
No, typically it's me because it's more my dream. He actually has a day job that he works for a corporation that deals with your personal private information. So
Now I've even seen one book back there, just looking around, a Mad Magazine book, and I grew up with the Mad Magazine, Alfred E. Newman, and What Me Worry, and how do you determine what's a rare book or a classic, or how do you determine that?
So, in the book industry, most booksellers and collectors have a determined grading scale. So, there are, I can't even remember, but there's new, fine, near fine, very good, good, fair, and poor. Those are the grades that a book would get. And there are different factors that go into a grade for a book. I'm sure everybody's more familiar with the grading of comic books or baseball cards. It's similar with actual books. So I kind of adhere to that standard. As far as whether a book is rare or out of print, hard to find, or scarce, those categories or determinations are more of what's already out there in the public and available. A true first edition, Gone with the Wind. There's probably not many still in fine or near fine condition. So that is how you determine the price of the book. The condition and the edition. Is it a first edition? Is it a first edition, first printing? Because those two things are different, which a lot of people that don't necessarily collect or aren't serious collectors are not aware of. And where do you find that information? It's a little bit easier now, since probably the mid 80s, when ISBN numbers were created, and most publishers use those. Prior to the 70s, 80s, somewhere in there, depending on which publisher, when they started using the ISBN numbers that you see on the backs of the books or on the inside, or whatever, it's a lot harder to make that determination because each publisher kind of did their own thing, so to speak.
Now, I noticed all the books that I've seen here, you have little slips of paper in them, or they're cataloged. I say catalog. What does that mean?
Okay, so the little slips of paper are because I don't like to write in a book. Lots of other booksellers will have, if they don't have a standard price for soft covers versus hard covers, most of those don't necessarily deal with books that are hard to find or rare or scarce or out of print or that kind of thing. So I didn't want to have such a narrow selection. So just the old, more recent popular books. Does that kind of make sense? So I wanted to run the whole gamut if I could. So the little slips of paper are mainly because I don't like to write in them. Other booksellers will write first edition and a price on usually the front end page. At the top corner, you'll see it in pencils. And I'm not saying that our books don't have those, but we didn't write in them. They came that way to us. So the little slips of paper are my way of inventorying the books that we have. On the slips of paper, you'll see our inventory number, the price is right below it, and then I have mostly notes for myself, so that when I sell that book, I can take it out of inventory, and then I can make it a determination as to how long did it stay on my shelf? Has it been here since 2021? Has it been here? Is there a specific information on the book? It's kind of my information to me. Now, you'll notice some of the books have more than just the white slip of paper. And that is kind of to let me know so that when a customer comes in, I can give them more information. So you'll see books with white tags and green tags. The green tags are local authors or books about West Virginia, so that I can point you directly to those, and it's an a West Virginia author, or it's a book about West Virginia. And I do have those kind of separated on the shelves to make it a little bit easier still. The orange pieces of paper are for books that when I do a search, when I look up the book, there are less than 10 available online anywhere that I can tell. So that tells me that it's either rare, scarce, out of print, or hard to find. Those categories. So when you're looking at a paperback book that's I have listed as $15, not that most of them are that price, but if you see that there's an orange piece of paper, then that tells me so that I can tell you that when I listed it, there were less than 10 of this particular edition available online. Now, most book readers don't really care. They just want that particular book. But there are the book connoisseurs, and there are the collectors that are after that certain cover, or they have the set of Lord of the Rings from 1978, but they're missing book 3, and they really want book 3 from that 1978 set. So that's a little harder to come by than the more recent one that was done in 2023. And the cover's different.
Mm-hmm. That's a lot of work.
It is a lot of work. There is one other little tag you'll see in our books, and that's a red tag. And the red tag means that it's a signed book. It was signed by the author. It may be inscribed to a particular person and signed by the author, but that's what the little tags are in the book. And yeah, it takes me a minute to write it all down on a piece of paper, but I think that it helps me help the customer if they're interested. You know, it's not like every single time somebody buys a book, I say, oh, well, this is, really rare, it's out of print or whatever. But for those people that are interested, that's the information that's there.
So when a person comes in, you could direct them to the different genres of books, if they want mysteries, if they want West Virginia authors, what children's books. Children's books are very popular. You pretty much got that separated and
Yeah. So on this side, the store side, all of the books are organized by genre. So all our shelves have genre labels on them. So you can go directly to sci-fi fantasy, you can go to mystery, you can go to cookbooks, you can go to inspiration, and that's where I have them. And on the other side, the 211 side at the back, we have probably more than half of the 22,000 in what we call our warehouse. And I don't know, have I taken you back there to see it?
we've
Okay.
been.
So you'll see it's just rows upon rows upon rows of more shelves of books and some tables and full of books and boxes full of books. But those are in my inventory number order. Because we also sell online. So when I get an online order, I know where that book is. Either it's at the back in the warehouse side in numerical order, or it's on the bookstore side in genre order, alphabetically by author's last name. And it helps. Sometimes it takes me a minute because some authors write in more than one genre. Nora Roberts, for example.
Yeah.
She's usually more historic fiction or romance genre, typically. Although she does have 2 series that are sci-fi fantasy. So I have to know which books those are to know where to look for those if someone were to ask.
The books you sell, most are pre-owned books.
Yes.
And but I noticed on your website, and you do have a website.
Yes.
On your website, you can buy new books through ABE or.
That's correct. So our website is merely a link to where we sell online. So our books we sell on ABE Books. We are not the only seller there. There are many other independent bookstores that sell on there, so that when you hit the link that on our website that says Browse Our Books, it takes you to the ABE Books website. Now, it's a little tricky. Some people think it's a fishing expedition, and it's some sort of fraud thing. It's not. We purposely did that because it's too expensive for us to build our own inventory on our own website because I add books every day. I'd have to have all of the same information that Amazon or Abe Books or some of the others have, and we just don't have that capacity.
Yeah.
Does that make sense? So it takes you to Abe Books. The tricky part is when you get to Abe Books, there is a search bar at the top that says search Abe Books. When you search on that search bar, you are searching all of the independent sellers that sell on Abe Books. If you scroll down about an inch or two on your screen, it'll say search Burm Booksellers, and that would be us. Now, the unique thing about our inventory online compared to the other booksellers that sell on Abe as well is that, like in our store, I have them separated by genre. And I think they're called categories in Abe. I'm not, or catalogs maybe. So that you can go to sci-fi fantasy, or you can go and search just our mystery, so that you're not searching 22,000 books, including the kids' books, if you're looking for Stephen King. You can go right to the genre that you're interested in if you are searching our portion of ABE Books as a seller.
Yeah.
Now, the other thing on our website is another link that goes, it says browse our vinyl, I think it says. That is another online service that we use called Discogs. And again, we are not the only independent seller that sells on Discogs. But when you take that link to Discogs, you are right at our store on Discogs. And that will give you the inventory of our vinyl and our shellacs and stuff.
Well, since you've been open in the past year, you've had several book signings of mainly local authors. And some of the people I'm pretty familiar with. Just to mention a few, Brian Bowyer, and he's pretty well known with some of his horror. Kill Factor, I think, is one of. We mentioned Gary Vaughn. Gary Vaughn has two books out that he's written about the experiences of being a bail bondsman, and some of them are funny and some of them are shocking, I guess. Jennifer Jones, I think, mainly did children's books, I think.
She has a few fiction and some poetry.
Marissa Hara, I'm not sure. I haven't read any of.
She has one book out that I'm aware of. It's called The Ville. It's more of a contemporary fiction about growing up in West Virginia.
Now, Travis Wooten had written one about the foster care, which is a big thing right now, about all the children that are in foster care in West Virginia and what we need to do about it. Devonna Burgess, she did write some horror stuff too.
Yeah, hers are thrillers. She does have a series, a more of an interpretation, historical fiction of the events of the Bible as well, that she just brought to me, I want to say 2 weeks ago. The names are escaping me, the titles are, but there is a series of hers, yeah.
Another one just this past week, C.S. Amos was here with his book, A Miner's Wife, and I purchased that book, and I've read about half of it. And I'm a voracious reader, and she is really interesting because he wrote the book like his mother was talking, first person, and it's really good. I haven't finished it yet because I don't want to finish it too soon, but it's really a good book, and I hope he writes another one. But the approach, the first person approach, I thought was pretty interesting. I noticed that there were kind of looked at. I said, what do bookstores do to get people? You got to get people in, and I notice some have music, and of course that requires evening sometimes or Saturday afternoons. Some of them have had paint parties. Some of them had book club meetings. Uh, Trivia contests, those kind of things. Have you considered any of those, or have you had those?
We haven't. We um, have considered them. We were kind of waiting so that we had more space for people to congregate. As you saw this morning, we just got an opening in our wall so that now we can open the front of the 211 side. So we're hoping to have some seating or some other little areas, along with, I think I'm going to put the albums up there and then do a little rearranging. I haven't completely decided yet, but we were kind of waiting to have a little bit more room. This space, while it's huge, it is filled with books or vinyl at this point. So there's not a lot of space for someone to come in and do a painting party or even a trivia. There's really no place to sit. I mean, there's a few seating areas, don't get me wrong, but there's just not a lot of space to have that kind of thing. So we're going to probably start scheduling those in the near future.
Yeah, my wife's brother plays music, and he and a bunch of guys get together in Withville, Virginia on Mondays, and there's no, they don't put on a show or anything. They just get together and play music, and the bookstore opens up, and lets them come in, and you never know what's going to draw people. These now you also have a coffee bar planned, don't you?
We do. We do. We have, that was part of the bookstore from the beginning. We just need to make a few decisions as to where we would like to locate the coffee bar, because that may entail moving some plumbing or opening more wall or something. It just kind of depends. We would like to use the existing plumbing, but we need to calculate some usage factors, for lack of a better word. So,
Now, some bookstores have offer free Wi-Fi. You ever plan anything like that?
um, you know, I don't know. We haven't really talked about that, but yeah, I would assume that once we get the coffee bar open, that there'll be some free Wi-Fi available.
Now, there's programs in the state, like I think there's one going on now called the Read Aloud program, um, and where students can be involved. I mean, there's just a lot of different ways that we got to get people to read, and that's the main thing. And I I think I'm on a online writers group, and for years it was just so everybody was contributing, everybody, and then all of a sudden the leader passed away, and now it's just fizzled out. Nobody wants to take command of it, and I don't know how many book clubs are out there. I exchange ideas with people sometimes on the internet, but we've just got to get more people to read, don't we?
I would agree with that. And again, at this point, prior to the opening of the space in the wall that we just got done this Monday, we need more space for people to congregate if we're going to do that. We do have a little kids corner back here. There's really no adult seating back there, although sometimes I'll move a larger adult sized chair back there. We had Snow White come, I believe, and Anna from Frozen during a few of the Uptown events to read for the kids. But at this point, we just need to reorganize the space that we have and make it more encouraging for
What do you
people to
plan to do
congregate.
with the upstairs?
Well, I think that we're going to put 2 apartments up there.
You need to get income coming in,
Yeah,
don't you?
yes,
It's
yes.
easy to go out, send money
Oh,
out.
yes, yes.
But you
It
need,
definitely is easy for it to go out. The incoming is a little more difficult, but we know that we're new, meaning that we've only been here a year. As far as the store has been open, it's going to take some time. We're not doing any radio advertising because that's not yet in the budget. When I sit here from 9 to 5 during the day, and I have two customers that's each spend $20, that really isn't enough to generate the revenue or whatever.
yeah, you now. I would recommend. I mean, this is a gemstone in our area. I think you have an insanely good book selection, and people need to broaden their horizons and come in and check the Burn bookstore out. And Cheryl, I appreciate you talking to me, and good luck. And hopefully, don't work too hard, but I, you'll be seeing my face a little more often. Like I said, I don't have any particular genre of books that I read. I just kind of, sometimes I want to get into really intense mysteries type stuff, and other times I just want to be light and read something funny. And so you just never know. It depends on how you wake up. But I do appreciate you talking to me.
Well, thank you for stopping by.
And anybody else that would like to be on our podcast, you can contact me at awbennett50@gmail.com, and we'll get you on here. And remember, until next time, if you're not dead yet, you're not done yet. And this is Wayne Bennett, and God bless you.